name is Sam. Thanks for checking out this video. If you get to the end and liked it, then give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button and the bell notification button. If I seem frustrated, I am. This is the 4th time I'm recording this video because apparently no one is able to just not do something in the background or have appliances run or break at all for like 10 minutes. So I've literally already put my books that I had for this away because I have literally recorded this so many times. So I'm just going to insert the images here as I talk about them because I don't have the patience at this point to start going and pulling books off the shelf again. So as always, I want to tell you what I read, my general thoughts and some highlights on them, and then some lessons. So this month I read Enchantée by Gita Trellis, A Curious Beginning by Deanna Raybourn as a reread, A Perilous Undertaking by Deanna Raybourn as a reread, Graceland by Kristen Kishore, A Mind of Her Own by Paula McLean, Beastly Bones by William Ritter, The Sawbones book by Justin McElroy, His Last Bow by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, A Treacherous Curse by Deanna Raybourn as a reread, Fire Falling by Elise Kova as a reread, A Dangerous Collaboration by Deanna Raybourn, The Lost Girls of Paris by Pam Minoff, The Similars by Rebecca Hanover, The Tesla Legacy by K.K. Perez, Spectacle by Jody Lynn Stroke, I don't know how to say that, as Z-D-R-O-K, Wake of Vultures by Lila Bowen, The Triumphant by Leslie Livingston, The Queen of Atolia by Megan Whalen Turner, The Final Six by Alexandra Monier, An Affair of Poisons by Addie Thorley, Silent in the Grave by Deanna Raybourn, Illuminate by Jay Kristoff and Amy Kaufman as a reread, Silent in the Sanctuary by Deanna Raybourn, Wicked Saints by Emily Duncan as a reread, A Curse So Dark and Lonely by Bridget Kemmerer. It's the extra ER, it throws me. I don't know what to do with it. Wild Savage Stars by Christina Perez as an arc. And lastly, Blood Witch by Susan Dennard. So spotlights, this month it was pretty easy actually for me to pick. I think there were quite a few books that I really enjoyed, but there were some really big standouts on both ends of the spectrum, really. So starting from least to most favorite, my least favorite was definitely Spectacle by Jody Lynn Stroke. This was just a big letdown for me. I'm a sucker for historical fictions, especially in Europe, especially when there's some paranormal aspects thrown in, especially when the POV is a woman, kind of dabbling in the science field a little bit. And this just, well, I shouldn't say dabbling in the science field, involved with some like sciencey stuff, whether that's like morgues or anything like that. The characters were unlikable. The plot was weird. I think the ending was a little bit of a mess for me. So this was just a really, really disappointing read for me, unfortunately. My most surprising book, again on the spectrum of surprisingly that I didn't like it, would definitely have to be An Affair of Poisons by Addie Thorley. I had strong emotions about this book. I still do. I'm really exhausted of books being published as like strong women in science when you have something like this of like An Affair of Poisons where there's an assassination and she's involved as a chemist and all this stuff. And then like literally she spends the full book being the densest human being, not picking up on any social cues, not seeing any red flags, not expecting anyone to betray her despite the fact that they constantly betray her, and just like ogling after a boy. Like it was a book we've all read before, but it was just nothing special, unfortunately. And my favorites are, it's kind of a toss-up depending on my mood. I absolutely loved Wild Savage Stars by Christina Perez. This was a really strong book too in a series. There was a purpose, there was a plot. It starts unfolding all of the consequences of the actions that ended Sweet Black Waves. The main character, Branwen, she grows. I freaking love her. Isolde is also like an annoying character, but like she's bratty, but this whole time too I keep in mind of like, oh, it's magic though, it's magic. So I can't decide if I hate her or not. And I liked all the romances and the politics and this weird like kind of romantical pentagon that is sort of like hinted at. I'm insanely excited for the book to come out on August 27th and insanely excited to get book 3 whenever it does come out. I also really, really, really love The Lost Girls of Paris by Pam Minoff. This was a blindside enjoying one for me. I went in very hesitant, to be honest, because of the Alice Network. That book wasn't bad, but I just didn't, it's so unworthy of the hype that it was given. I know we're into this big, like, women World War II thing, but the Alice Network was a massive letdown for me. I didn't understand, honestly. I got to the end, I was like, what? I just wasted my time with this book. But The Lost Girls of Paris has all these really interesting POVs. They're well-developed plots. The romances have a purpose. Hallelujah. Can't, like, round of applause to Pamina for that alone. Like, and just, I thought the twist kind of betrayal was interesting. It was really interesting, the women's training to be spies and then seeing them set in France. It was just overall really, really interesting, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I also high-key may have cried near the end, so yeah. I definitely, because it's in my handy dandy agenda thing, I am so 100% buying this planner again next year if she sells it. It's like, is it Novelty? Sorry, Little Inklings. This agenda is coming so freaking handy this year so far. But one thing that they have in here that I wasn't doing before is the favorite quotes thing. So I've been just writing them down if I come across one, and I did this month as well in April. This is from A Curse So Dark and Lonely, and it reminded me actually of Harry Potter, that quote about that Dumbledore has of like, only in the darkness can you see the light, or something like that. You know, he has all those wisdomy kind of quotes where he says something like, wow, that's profound and so iconic. And then you forget about all the weird things Dumbledore as a character does. And how, like, kind of manipulative and weird and just off he is. But anyways, from A Curse So Dark and Lonely, I am always surprised to discover that when the world seems darker, there exists the greatest opportunity for light. So lessons this month, majority are heavily sarcastic, or, yeah, just, there's no or. It's mostly sarcastic this month. Honestly, rereads are just underappreciated. This actually one isn't really sarcastic. I was talking to people earlier this month, or not this month, later in April. And they're like, yeah, I don't really like reread books. And I was like, then why do you buy them? Like, what is the purpose of that? Like, that's when you use the library. Like, maybe you have one or two pretty covers, but like, why buy them if you literally only read them once? And, yeah. It's an underappreciated thing, especially with the month of April. I don't know if it was a book hangover, but like I couldn't really get into any books for like a week and a half to 2 weeks. And that's when I'm pretty sure it was caused by me rereading the Veronica Speedwell series, because that series is amazing. But I think having the fallback to be like, know what I need to read right now? Illuminae. I mean, like, I reread A Curious Beginning, A Perilous Undertaking, A Treacherous Curse, Illuminae, Fire Falling, Beastly Bones, Wicked Saints. It's just honestly so therapeutic, as well as like sometimes when you read books that are just like super uber detailed, they're like super emotional, being able to like draw back and go to a book that you know you're gonna like, and like that just like wipes your mind of everything and makes you want to just get back into reading is so helpful. And yeah, just appreciate rereads. Do it if you've never done it before. You should. Having read books 1 and 2 of the Lady Julia series now, which I don't know that I'm going to continue the series. It wasn't bad. However, it's no Veronica Speedwell. Let's be real. But I remember someone telling me that the series had been abandoned by the publisher. So I'm like reading Silent in the Grave and Silent in the Sanctuary, and I kind of like finished them and I was like, this is like the original like manuscript essentially of like Veronica Speedwell. I think like it's Veronica Speedwell light before they like developed her character, made her like this standout sarcastic feminist person in the time period. And like Rayborn definitely has like a thing of strong women in the Victorian era who maybe middle-ish class or upper, who have this thing of, for whatever reason, are able to and have the support system where they can branch out and just, you know, not be conforming to the gender norms of their society. Enchanté and An Affair of Poisons made me like hardcore. I've ranted about this a few times, but give us more women in science. Stop writing books where the summaries say basically like it's the strong woman who's a chemist, and then literally have her do nothing in the book but act like a stupid human being and fall in love with a boy. Make them do something though. Like give them a premise or a point, not just so they can fall in love with a boy after getting betrayed by every single human being. Like, they need to grow, they need to get a backbone, they need to stand up for themselves, and I feel like Enchanté did a really good job of that, especially with how her brother treats her. But anyways, give us more women in STEM, and not less of the stupid women. The final 6 made me kind of like realize, like reflect that like sci-fi lights are like kind of a thing now in YA. I don't know if this is new and I'm just noticing it now, but like, you know, sci-fis can be intimidating, especially when you look at something like, it's not a book series necessarily. Well, I guess they are books, but like when you look at something like the Star Wars film franchise, that is the most intimidating thing in the world to look at, and you're like, okay, I'm not getting into that. So I think having these like books like this month was the Final Six, but I mean also like Nixia or Sanctuary, where you can kind of dip your toes in the sci-fi genre and like figure out what you like and dislike about it, and like realize that sometimes it can be basically the same kind of sort of structure as a fantasy sometimes, so it can be less as intimidating as you would think. It's not Illuminae, which is all this like complex detail, and Illuminae, to be honest, is like my max limit for sci-fi stuff from what I've experienced, which I'm kind of nervous because I still have to read Sky Without Stars. But, yeah, I'm liking this sci-fi light thing, and I hope they keep coming. World War II historical fictions surrounding women who are inspired, which is inspired by true stories, need to calm themselves down, okay? Like, I'm saying this predominantly as a librarian. I loved The Lost Girls of Paris, like, this month. Like, it was a legit good book. But do you understand how expensive it is for libraries? Because everyone all of a sudden wants to read these books, and all of the ebooks of these things are metered access. So we have to keep rebuying the Alice Network every, like, 12 boros at, like, $50 a piece, okay? You need to calm yourself, because a lot of them, they come out at the same time. Like, spread this crap out. I shouldn't say crap not in a negative way, but, like, there's, like, The Huntress came out, then The Lost Girls of Paris came out, then Mistress of the Ritz is coming out. And those are just the ones that I know of, like, in my mind, because I have arcs of them. Like, they're expensive and it's impossible to keep up with the wait list. That's why you have 12-month-long wait lists for books, okay? Spread this stuff out. The similarities made me think, like, would I want a clone of myself? And honestly, I think the answer is yes. At first, I was like, well, just obviously yes. But, like, I think I need to specify. If they're gonna be, like a Stepfordy wife version of me, nah, hard pass. I can't take people that act like they're running through a field of, like, flowers and all that crap. I want an eviler version of me. Or, like, a morally gray version of me. Like, that, yeah, just... Yeah, I feel like that'd be far more interesting and, like, manageable than... And I would probably want to slap them a lot less than, like... You know, like I want to say Hannah Montana, but that's not the right term. But like a Stepfordy wife version of me. But yeah, so I'm very curious about that concept now. The Tesla Legacy and Wild Savage Stars just reminded me that KK Perez needs to calm herself down with these endings that hurt my soul. You and Jay Kristoff need to go on a stupid vacation together and, like, with Niall Schusterman and Amberlynn Nutrition, just cackle about how much you hurt your readers. Like... A Curse So Dark and Lonely put me in a place about my feelings towards Beauty and the Beast retellings. They don't all suck, and they don't all romanticize Stockholm Syndrome. So, I'll absolutely give her that. The book was actually really good. So, I got proved wrong. I also have come to the conclusion, having finally read Blood Witch this month, that I think I have to just give up on the Witchland series by Susan Dennard. It's not bad, but I, for the life of me, cannot retain anything from those books. I have read them in multiple formats. I have read books 1 and 2 multiple times now, and I can remember one character's name at this point, in all honesty, and it's the Aiden guy from The Blood Witch. I know there's multiple other characters. I know there's lots of betrayal, but literally nothing in those series stays in my brain. I don't know if it's the writing or if the book's just too similar to other books that I've had read or whatever, but I'm sorry, I'm giving up. I'm just so exhausted. I don't know why. They're not bad. Hopefully they're for other people. I don't know what to do anymore. And lastly, it's not really like a lesson from books that I read this month, but it is a lesson on books that I learned this month or realized this month. So, like, I was, like, going through our new releases, like, Excel sheet in the TBR and Beyond group, looking for the books that had no dates and seeing if they had updated with dates. And finally, I looked at book 4 of the Bone Season series, and then, like, the author had, like, updated the Goodreads blurb to be like, hopefully it'll be out in spring 2020-ish. And then I looked at a different edition that the publisher had clearly, like, put the actual information in, and it was like December 30th, 2020. So at this point, I don't know what the right word is, but for lack of a better term, giving up on the Bone Season. The wait's just been too long between the books. I enjoyed book 1 and 2 because you can see the full series on Goodreads. They all have Goodreads pages, and, like, I think it's book 7 because it's supposed to be 7 books total. Was, like, scheduled for publication originally in 2020. I'm like, if it's gonna be another, like, 3 to 4 years between, and if the author ever finishes it, because in all honesty, I get the sense that maybe she's lost interest in the series, which is fair enough. I don't know how they deal with that, though, because it was such a big contract that she got. But, I mean, even, like, the first optioning rights expired, which I could understand. I don't know the exact reason, but I could understand why they would let them expire when you can't really start developing a series if the author is like, so it has such large gaps between the books. And it's been reoptioned for a TV show, which may work because it does take a little bit longer and you can have those season breaks the way like Outlander has. But I'm just exhausted. I have so many other books to read, and there's just so many good books out there and series that I enjoy that focusing all this time and effort on a dystopian series that I enjoyed, it's just not worth it to me, really. The delays and delays and delays and the seemingly lack of communication for the most part about it has just turned me off the series, unfortunately. So hopefully it does continue. If it does eventually finish getting published, maybe I'll go back to it. The books 1 and 2, like I said, were good. I haven't read book 3 because I own it, but I was waiting for book 4 because the other books had decent endings. So I've just kind of given up, unfortunately, which is sad, but I have other books to read. So I will link all of the books that I read this month in the description down below. Make sure to check that out, and also check the description for links to my social media. If you follow me, I will follow you back.